Ooh, okay, collect yourself, Ben. I need to get a few things out. So I have come to the extremely scientific conclusion that Facebook Marketplace fucking sucks. People be weird. People act so fucking weird on Facebook Marketplace. I mean, on Facebook and social media in general, but specifically on Facebook Marketplace, where do these reptilians come from? A few things recently have made me basically take off everything that I was trying to sell on Facebook Marketplace. Like, you list something and you think it's gonna be cute. You think people are gonna respond and be like, hey, how about Tuesday at 2 p.m.? Where do you wanna meet? At that gas station. Sure, sounds good. See you then. It should be that simple. But somehow, something got in the bathwater where people just be acting weird. Forgive me if I have high expectations that people should act courteous and kind of nice. I would say about 95% of people are saying, is this available? Is this available? Hey, is this available? Facebook, for the love of Lord Internet, can you please not give them the option to ask if things are still available? If it's on Facebook Marketplace, chances are it's still available. And it's not just me, like I see a ton of listings where people are like pissed about this. They're like, yes, this is available. And if you say, is this available? I'm not even gonna respond. Yet, a lot of people just say, is this available? And that's kind of on Facebook, but you can kind of tell after using Facebook Marketplace if somebody's seriously like actually wanting to buy something from you or if they're just fucking around. There's a lot of people that are apparently just fucking around. And then most of the time, even if you say, yes, this is available, you're listing it at $400. Will you take 5? These lowballing people, will you take 20? I'm like, bitch, I listed it at 400. Why would you say 5? Why would you say 20? Maybe 350. You know, maybe 360, maybe even 340, depending on how desperate I am. But for real, lowballers plus these people that are asking, is this available? Y'all. Who thinks it's okay to act like this? Okay, so that leads me to 2 story times. I may even have more if I can think of it, but these are the 2 that stick out for me, where I was just like questioning my existence. I got existential on the world's ass. And this happened recently within the span of 2 days. So this is what got me on this tip of like, fuck Facebook Marketplace. Okay, story time number 1. This woman is selling a really cute little side table. I thought it would go really nicely in my studio because I'm going for like a black and white, you know, high contrast kind of vibe. And there's this really cute little side table. So it said like new, and that's a whole other thing, used like new. A lot of people will stretch that. You see this thing, you're like, how the hell is this like new? Scratches all over it, something busted or whatever. So this person actually seems like pretty legit, like they're very responsive in the communication and that kind of thing. They're quick and efficient. We got our price locked down. She sends me her address, so I go all the way down there. And the description also said, by the way, like new, didn't even use it. And she seems really nice. She even like invites me inside to see like other stuff that's available for sale. And I was like, no thanks, I'll just take this. So anyway, I pay for the table. I load it into my car. This person seemed really nice. So I was like, of course I'll trust them. Huge mistake. Huge mistake. I learned my lesson. Take this table all the way home, prop it up in my studio, super excited, and it's leaning a little bit. And I'm like, that's interesting. Why is it leaning? Did I mess it up? Did I knock something or whatever? No, I was like super careful in how I loaded it into my car. Super careful bringing it into my studio. So I flip it over upside down, really puzzled. And one of the legs on the table is like busted off of the bottom. And like I said, I was very careful about how I prepared this thing in my car, this and that. I didn't hear a crunch. Like, this is a big gash. You would have had to like really crunch it down. You would have had to drop it or, you know, like have it fall down a flight of stairs. Like, this wasn't just a normal, like a ding from a car ride or something. This table is busted. So I hit this girl up and I'm just like, hey, so I just got home and I noticed the table's leaning and I flipped it over and one of the legs is actually broken off. And she ghosts me. And I messaged her again. I sent her pictures of the table that's busted, your like new table that you barely used. Here's some pictures, here's some evidence. I think I could come by and get this back to you, return it, whatever. And I never heard from her again. $100 down the drain. Cute table. I was so mad at that table. I was so mad. I was about to drop it down some stairs if I had stairs in my house. I thought about breaking even more legs on that table, to be honest. Ended up selling it as is. I lost about $70, so like not the end of the world, but I was mad, y'all. I was so mad and I was just like, fuck Facebook Marketplace, y'all. Story number 2. This involves selling an iPhone 6s Plus. This person hits me up like, hey, I'm available today. How about this price? I'm like, sure, why the hell not? Meet me at this gas station. So this person meets me at this gas station and I'm like, cool, here's the phone. He was like, how do you use it? What do I do now on the iPhone? I was like, oh, well, you set up an account, like you kind of enter the phone, this and that, and is looking at it like really puzzled. And then it became very clear, very crisp and clear that this person had never used an iPhone before. This is their first iPhone, an iPhone 6s Plus from what, 2015? I don't even remember. So because I try to be a nice person, and I'm somewhat patient, not really, but like in those kind of cases, of course, I'm gonna try to, help this person out, never use an iPhone. I know a lot about iPhones. I'm obsessed with Apple, apparently. Here's some like kind of tips for how to start up your iPhone. And then we get to the password section where he sets up, the password to get into his new phone. And I'm like, okay, cool. Any other questions? Like, and it's already been like 20 minutes. Like I'm standing there and this dude is just like puzzled. He's just like, how does this work? Like what's an iPhone? So he puts in his password, he's into the phone. He's like, how do you download Google Maps into this and that? And I was like, oh, well, first you have to get an Apple ID and this and that. But like, honestly, like you can set that up later. Like you don't have to do it right now. Kind of a hint to be like, hey, I gotta get going. So clearly this guy was like not getting the hint. So then he locks the phone and then he asks me something and then he tries to get back into the phone and he's like, how do I get back into the phone? What numbers do I put in here? And I was like, well, what numbers did you put into the phone? Like what password did you use? And he's like, password? And I was like, yeah, like the numbers you put into the phone, what did you put in? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, what is it, password? The number? And he's like, no, I don't want a password on my phone. And I was like, well, you put in a password to get into the phone. You need that number to unlock your phone again. Like that's how phones work, right? And I was like, oh my God. By this time, it was 45, 50 minutes later. And I'm like, okay, well, if you can't get into your phone, like if you don't know your passcode, I can't help you. And he's like, well, what is my passcode? And I was like, I don't know, dude. I wasn't watching you when you put it into your phone. So eventually I'm just like, look, dude, I'm really sorry. Like, I gotta go. I would suggest taking this to a Cricket store or an Apple store and being like, hey, here's my dilemma. I can't get into my phone. And then he like magically figures out some number all of a sudden that unlocks the phone. And I'm just like, oh, yes. Yes, I was like, okay, cool. Go into your phone since you don't want a passcode on your phone. Go into that setting where you turn off the passcode. So he goes into it, but then of course you need the passcode in order to turn that feature off, right? And then he's like, well, what's the number that I put in? Like, what's my passcode? And I was like, is this dude fucking with me? Like, he just put the passcode in to unlock his phone, and then he's asking me what the passcode is? And I was like, oh my God, y'all. And then after all this stuff, he tries to shortchange me. We agreed on like, I think it was $80 or something. And he's like, how about 60? And I was like, are you kidding me? No, no, I'm not gonna take 60. In my head, I was like, you should be paying me an extra for the hour that I just spent at it, because apparently I'm an Apple Store employee and I work for Cricket International or whatever. It really made me empathize with people that work at Apple stores and people that like provide tech support in general. Like, y'all must be the most like patient people. I could never do that. I get fired in 5 minutes. And his reasoning for taking $20 off after all of this mess was like, there's a few scratches on the screen, like it doesn't look new. And I was like, oh, well, in the description on Facebook, you read it, right? No, you did. Oh, you didn't. Okay, yeah. Well, it says there's scratches on the screen. I took some pretty clear pictures of the scratches. I try to be pretty transparent. And he's like, 60. And I was like, I straight up was just like, no. At that point, I was like, I don't even care if this dude pays me anything. I was like, just give me the phone and I'm gonna reset it. And I just am sick of standing here trying to get this phone to work. And then he's like reluctantly finally like, okay, fine, 80. And then finally gives me this damn money. And I'm just like, thank you. This whole thing could have taken about like 30 seconds. Oh. And at that point, I think I had that existential feeling of like, why the fuck am I doing this to myself? Why am I putting myself through this? These are only 2 stories out of many just like total BS stories. I had to wait on people. People didn't show up after I was sitting there for 40 minutes. And also just people just don't read the descriptions. Like they don't read your product descriptions no matter what you put in all caps with asterisks and puppy dogs and rainbows. Like they will never look at that shit. It seems like only a few people actually read the descriptions and it just drives me nuts. So people have sometimes also given me low ratings. Like for example, somebody bought something from me and they were like, it didn't include a charger and I got a low rating. If you read the description, It says no charger included, just the device. But people mess with you because they don't read the description and then they blame you for it. And that's really fun. And the last straw for me today was like this person who was trying to get one of my older cameras that I was selling. They were trying to lowball me like super hard, just messaging me like frantically, and then telling me, well, I saw it in Houston. I live in Austin, Texas, but I saw it in Houston for $300 cheaper. And it came with a lens and 14 batteries and a puppy dog for free and a lollipop. And I'm just like, that's cool, bitch. We're not in Houston, are we? If you want to buy it from this $300 less having person on the same camera in Houston, have a nice road trip, or just go on eBay and get something there. If you want it now, if you want to drive and meet me in 10 minutes, like you can have it there at the price that we're talking about right now. But the lowballing culture on Facebook Marketplace is like out of fucking control. And then at that point I was just like, why is this, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing on this platform? Facebook has sometimes been really awesome, like the marketplace for buying awesome furniture, like this shelf over here. I got an amazing deal for this like really sturdy, nice, high quality shelf. And other pieces of furniture and lights and random stuff, like I've gotten some pretty good deals on Facebook Marketplace, so I don't want to completely knock it, but I will knock it a bunch though, because selling on Facebook Marketplace has been just such a freaking hassle, and it's made me use other platforms more like Mercari and Depop. Mercari is kind of the best, I think, actually. It seems like there's so many people on there that are not trying to lowball, but Facebook Marketplace. And leave a comment down below, have you had these ridiculous negative experiences on Facebook Marketplace? Leave a comment down below with your horror story, because I need like a good laugh and maybe a good single tear to stream down my face. Consider this a therapy group for Facebook Marketplace survivors. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. If you did, leave a banana emoji in the comments. Have an awesome day. I'll see you in the next video.